Okay, so I'm joined by 2021 LSU quarterback commit Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very cool. I'm good. You sent some shockwaves out there on Monday when you announced your commitment to the 2021 class for LSU.
Yes,
Why
sir.
did you pick that day?
I think after I delayed my decision, I was just kind of thinking a lot about it. I used that time to, just think, and it hadn't worked out the way I wanted it to be able to do with my family on Easter, and because of that, I decided to wait. And then I used that time to think. And then, after thinking a long time, I felt like, now that I know, the quicker I do it, the better.
Hmm.
So, I just said, all right, I'll do it on Monday, and let's do it.
Many recruits that I talk to about this sort of decision, it's like a weight is lifted off of their chest. Is that how you feel?
Yes, sir. I feel like that a little bit. I feel like I definitely 110% made the right decision. So, that's a really, really big relief.
So, do you know any of the guys in the class with you?
Yeah, I've talked to most of the guys. Landon Jackson's right by me. So is
Hmm.
JoJo Earl. So I know them. But I've talked to all the guys. I'm really excited. We've got a really good core group of kids right now. So.
Is there someone out there that you feel comfortable talking about actively recruiting that you want to see join this class with you?
I won't get too much into names and stuff out of respect for them, but
Hmm.
I've definitely been talking to a lot of guys, trying to get them to come to Death Valley with us. So.
One of my buddies that I work with, he's a colleague of mine over at OU Insider. He spends a lot of time watching high school football, and particularly, he pointed out Flower Mound Marcus like last year and what you were doing over there. And I saw some huddle film, and I'm going, okay, well, first of all, how do you escape Texas and end up in Louisiana? I think is a question that many Texas
Yeah.
natives will want the answer to.
I think a lot of people ask me that, but the answer is, I'm not from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana. That's my home. That's where all my family is. Lake Charles, Kaplan, and Cameron. That's my home. I'm back there every Christmas, every Easter. So, Texas and Texas A&M were both great spots, but that they just weren't home for me. If that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
I've always been in love with the Tigers, and this situation was just way too hard to pass up. And who wouldn't want to play in Baton Rouge in front of the best fans, and and the best atmosphere of college football. So.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you how your dad has figured into your recruiting and your development as a quarterback.
Yeah, he kind of took a little bit of a hands-off approach, in the recruiting. He wanted to let me make my decision. He added advice, of course, when asked and, when needed. And, he would help me, through things and seeing through the shade and stuff like that. But as far as a quarterback, he's been a tremendous help for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not just on the field, but also X's and O's. Helped me learn defenses. I've been on his lap watching film since I was 6 years old. There's pictures of it, and just now it's just I may not have understood what was going on at 6, but eventually you just start picking things up. And I think that's what's helped my feel for the game. And I've played it my whole life, and I've seen it my whole life, and I've also got to see, his players like AJ McCarron, Drew Stanton, Jake Locker, watching them, all the time, seeing how they interact with their teammates, seeing how they work in the meeting room, seeing how they are at practice. It's kind of, built the mold of how I want to be as a quarterback. So, and then also, we've been working in the backyard since I was 12. So he's had a huge help and, develop me as a passer as well.
You're following what is becoming a tradition of a pretty good quarterback coming out at LSU, man. I mean, we could talk about Joe Burrow until we're blue in the face, but before he got to the NFL and, that didn't go so well, Jamarcus Russell was that guy, right? And we can
Yes,
keep
sir.
going all the way back to Danny Etling and some others.
Yep.
Uh, how did you feel about inheriting that legacy?
I get asked that all the time. And,
Mm,
people ask me, how are you going to fill into Joe Burrow's shoes?
mm,
And, I think the answer to that was, I'm not going to try to.
mm.
I think we have very similar play styles. And I'm not comparing myself to the number one draft pick, obviously, but, I think, us being coaches' kids, we both kind of think the same way about things. So, I think, the way I look at it is, I'm not going to try and be the next Joe Burrow. I'm just going to try and be the best quarterback I can be and be the next Garrett Nussmeier and hopefully lead the Tigers to a national championship and, try and do the same offensive numbers, they had last year and, obviously the same amount of wins. So.
You said Nussmeier. Have I been mispronouncing your last name, man?
It's all good. People do it all the time. It's all good, man.
I hate that. And please don't correct that whenever it happens because we won't on our own. I mean, I was even over here struggling with DJ Ungagale's name for like.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
No, but yeah. I appreciate you being gracious about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So knowing that you came up with this this tremendous asset in your dad and how you were able to view football and get really a jump on it. And I've thought for years, it's not having played football, it's that you grow up with somebody who's been around football for a long time that is a benefit to someone like you or even Max Johnson, who's a year ahead of you, who's son of Brad Johnson. What are some of the offensive concepts that you like? What are the things, really digging into the playbook, what is it that you like that you can exploit? Some of the things that you've just come to love about looking at something on film and then translating it into the game.
Yeah, we know it's kind of weird because growing up my whole life, I had mainly just seen my dad do stuff, and that was all, strictly pro style stuff with, some RPOs. And then, I get to Texas and, I'm in an air raid system with every run play has an RPO on it and, all kinds of stuff. It has a little bit of a spread mix to it. So, I think, if you're asking my favorite concept, that I've played so far, it'd definitely be cross, any out of any formation, 3x1, 2x2, anything.
Why do you like those so much?
I like cross a lot just because, I think it's an easy throw, but it's also, a little bit challenging. You got to put the right amount of touch on it. But I also like it because, it's really hard to cover, way we run it, whether it's with a slot fade or a outside fade or a post, the safety's, in a really big bind.
Yeah.
So that's why it's one of my favorite plays, and it was really successful for us last year. So.
And building on that, right? Building on these different offensive systems that you've been able to be a part of. You mentioned there's some spread in there. You grew up around pro style, and now you're in an air raid system. I wonder, I'm going to ask this in a very different way. You play Madden?
I do.
Okay.
I do play Madden.
Who's your team, and what's your playbook?
It depends.
Okay.
I either play with the Cowboys,
and
I use the Cowboys playbook, or I play with the Saints and play with the Saints playbook.
So that's interesting.
Because, yeah, the Saints has always been my team because, my dad played for them and everything. But, now obviously he's with the Cowboys. So, every once in a while I like to play with the Cowboys. When I play with the Cowboys, though, I play totally different. I use Dak a lot in the run game, a lot of RPO, different stuff. And then, when I play with the Saints, I run the ball a little bit, use Michael Thomas a lot. So Drew Brees is the GOAT in my opinion. So.
Well, but you also picked, I believe, two offenses that really like to run the football and have outstanding tailbacks, which I choose to believe is insight into you, right? You value running the football.
Well, I do believe you have to run the football to win football games. I do. Yes, sir.
Well, and knowing that, I know there's going to be some older folks that find that refreshing because we live in an era where we have analytics to suggest you should throw the ball on first and second round. We have Patrick Mahomes taking the NFL by storm. The Tom Brady and his ability to run empty, right? And how that air raid concepts were foisted upon him. Well, I want to say earlier in the decade, but you. Did not necessarily buying into the hype like that.
Yeah, I think LSU's offense last year was actually a perfect example of how it should be done. They ran the ball on crucial downs, they iced the game on, I think it was outside zone against Alabama, right? So, and talking to the coach and hearing them say that, we believe we have to run the football to win football games, especially in the SEC. I thought that was big for me. That's how my dad's always taught me, and that's what he believes, and I firmly believe it too.
So you watched the Peach Bowl and Nash Championship, the semifinal and Nash Championship game.
Yes, sir.
How did you feel about watching Clyde Edwards-Helaire come from where we all thought I didn't think he was going to play, right?
Yeah.
And then not only does he play, he's cooking my favorite team's defense. And then end up he's a first round draft pick. So I'm assuming that's your ideal running back or that kind of a player.
I mean, yeah, he was unbelievable. I love his story as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy, that he got picked in the first round. That was really awesome. But yeah, I mean, he was unbelievable, and he made some plays, and like I said, they ran the ball when they needed to, and when they had to, and shoot, blew them out by. No offense to OU fans, but I mean,
No, no.
you saw how it was done, and it was done the right way.
It was
So
63-28, man. There's nothing else you can't hurt our feelings anymore. I'm gonna leave this kind of open ended and take this where you want it to go. But is there something about you that you want people to know that they don't know?
I mean, there's not too much about me that people don't know. I'm a really open kid. I don't have a lot of secrets. Don't hide a lot of stuff. I guess, I would tell the people, I'm really excited to get to Baton Rouge.
Hmm.
I'm early enrolling. So, I'm really excited for that. And I guess that's pretty much it. Just, go Tigers. I'm really excited.
You are extremely polite. You're very thoughtful, and
Thank you.
this was a joy, Garrett. I wish
Thank
you
you.
much success, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.
Right on.